I am conflicted over my wife's decision to not have children. I'm sure this question, or some variation of it, has been asked many times, but I really don't know what to do here, and I'm hoping that the masses will have some sage wisdom for me as I navigate what is becoming an all-encompassing issue for me. Please forgive any errors here. I've gone back and forth about asking for advice and I'm on mobile. I met my wife when I was in my/our mid-20s. I've never met someone that I was so compatible with. I truly felt like I had found my person, and we just clicked. I proposed, like a crazy person, after less than a year, but we had a long engagement, and we've now been married for 4 years, together for 10 years. Redditors, I thought I did everything right. We did the thing that people don't do. We had the talk about kids and family. We both wanted 1 to 2 kids. I come from a close family, with lots of siblings, and since day one, I've told her that the only thing I've ever wanted since I was a kid was to be a dad. See, growing up, my dad was my hero. He could do anything, and the only thing I've ever wanted was to be just like him, you know, plus some emotional labor and introspection. So we had this talk pretty early, and while we were iffy on the timing, we both agreed that we wanted to raise responsible human beings. Fast forward, I took the shit jobs to put her through school. We're on the other side of that, and for the first time we both got good jobs and stable careers. We have a house, a car, a dog, and a cat. We've had a good relationship and a pretty good marriage. Obviously we have ups and downs like any couple, but every time I bring up kids now, my wife shuts down. She doesn't want the pain and changes that pregnancy brings to her body. She doesn't want to change our lives. She doesn't feel comfortable with our financial situation. She's worried about going off her anxiety medication while pregnant. She cries because she feels like she's denying me this. It's always an emotional, exhausting, and absolutely draining conversation. She's seen a therapist before, but is not currently. I have a therapist and I see her regularly. I've asked her to go to therapy to work through some of these things, and the last time, she asked me to stop suggesting a therapist because finding one is too difficult. I feel like I've seen this slide coming, and it kills me. The best she can tell me is maybe. She's gone from I definitely want kids to maybe I want kids to maybe we can adopt to I don't want kids, but maybe I will one day. I feel like this isn't what I signed up for. It would be different if I had known this going in, but Reddit, she was sure she wanted kids. I feel so lost and so absolutely fucked. This is the one thing I can always remember wanting. My wife is still my best friend and my person. I can't imagine a life without her. We've weathered so much together, and this is the one way that I feel like we've grown apart. No solution seems like a good one, but I appreciate any advice for dealing with this. What the hell do I do here? Comment. Don't think you can count on therapy to change her mind again. It's every bit as likely that talking it through will just affirm that having a kid is going to trigger her anxiety in unsustainable ways that won't be good for the kid either, or that she just plain doesn't want this anymore. That said, counseling for both of you might be a good idea. Not because there's necessarily a solution here that will save your marriage, but to get you to a point where you can accept that you are in fact incompatible and go your separate ways while still remaining on good terms. I'm sorry. Don't waste your time waiting for her. She's not going to change, she's not going to budge. Move on. This is a non-negotiable, and giving it time is just wasting your time. All of her hesitations are just excuses. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. She does not want children. I would definitely suggest therapy, but let me also say I totally understand her fears. Especially if she has history with anxiety. Pregnancy changes a lot regarding your hormones. I'm on my second pregnancy and I quite frankly hate it, and I already know the first 6 months are gonna be terrible. So not only pregnancy might frighten her, but the whole postpartum journey plus having to deal with a whole new human being. You don't ever know how easy or hard the newborn stage will be, and to be honest, I think if women knew before, a lot would decide not to have kids out of fear. My concern is that she might feel pressured into having kids to do you a favor. Or that you're gonna accept that she doesn't want kids and you're gonna resent her for that down the road. I don't think there's a lot of things people cannot compromise on, but this is definitely one of those topics. One will suffer from whatever the decision is, and there is simply no compromising. If she's now also not open for adoption, etc., chances might be she really doesn't want to have kids. You have to ask yourself now how much time you want to give this to figure it out, but I genuinely do believe if she really does not want to have children, then you should leave, because this will definitely end with one of y'all being unhappy. Just for clarification, is there any validity to the financial concerns? Like, do you see this as more of an excuse to keep putting kids off, or does your financial situation truly need improvement before trying for a baby? Yes, OBS should be providing support and referrals for mental health as needed. Therapy, safe medications, etc. similar to the traditional route, but with pregnancy in mind. Unfortunately, the last is the hard one. If you feel like these are more than just some anxieties that could be worked through and she is firmly moving into the child-free zone, it's tough, but the idea that you two simply may no longer be compatible may need to be addressed head-on. Okay, let's unpack some of her concerns. Yes, pregnancy fucking sucks and is a valid reason to not want children. This is where a serious adoption, surrogacy, etc. discussion may need to come in. Depending on what she's taking, she likely will not have to stop her anxiety medication while pregnant, or may be offered an safe alternative. The reality is that people can change over time even if they were on the same page initially. Really just comes down to whether these are just some anxieties she wants to work through with you, or if her mind is already made up and you guys are no longer compatible. I would try find out just how decided she feels on this. I would not put this discussion off though, or wait it out. Next story 2. I just found out that my husband was married when we started dating / had a child. What in the world do I do with this info? My husband and I just celebrated our 4th wedding anniversary. We have a child together. Long story short, I recently found out that my husband was not only married when we started dating, but his divorce wasn't actually finalized until our son was almost 6 months old. This is eating me alive and I desperately need advice. I know this story sounds weird AF, but 6 years ago I started dating this guy. He was from elsewhere, but he was in my town for a year-long military assignment. He told me he had a horrible ex-wife who cheated on him for over half of their 10-year-long marriage. I felt so bad for him, and all of his friends and family members corroborated his story and told me how great he was and how awful she was, etc. This guy moved in with me very quickly because his room on base was super disgusting and moldy, and despite being on the hoovering, I ended up getting pregnant, and he proposed a few months later. It all happened super fast, but I was wildly in love and didn't think anything was wrong with my happy little family until one day, out of the total blue, I received a Facebook message from his ex-wife, calling me a homewrecker and calling my newborn son a bastard. I was so confused. This guy was definitely not married when we started dating, or so I thought. I never replied to her message, but I confronted then fiancé about it and he assured me that she's crazy and she's the one who had cheated on him, etc. Again, all his friends and his mother verified his story, saying his ex-wife was the cheater and their marriage was 100% over when he and I got together. So anyway, flash forward to a couple months ago. Hubby and I just celebrated 4 years of marriage and I thought everything was great. I love the life that we have built together, and I had entirely forgotten about the ex-wife thing. One day out of the total blue I had this weird feeling that I should check her Facebook page. Again, it had been years since I had even thought about this woman and I have no idea what compelled me to check her page. I guess women are crazy. LOL. So anyway, I went to her page, and several months before, she had written this awful, scathing post about me, calling me and my son all kinds of very nasty names and saying that soon my husband is going to do to me what he did to her. BC, he's a narcissist who doesn't care who he hurts. I sent her a message saying I was so sorry that she misunderstood what happened, but I was certainly not a homewrecker and my precious son is definitely not a bastard, and I asked her to please take down the post. She responded, "No, leave me alone." And I said I'm not super inclined to do that unless you remove this unfairly defamatory post. Again, I'm so sorry for any misunderstanding, but he and I didn't start dating until, date. Much to my shock and dismay, she replied with lots and lots of proof that they were indeed still married at that time. I started digging and found his divorce record. It does say that he was not legally divorced until our son was nearly 6 months old. I guess I now understand why he wanted a 2-year-long engagement. So anyway, what in the hell do I do with this info now? If I confront him about it, he will obviously know the info came from her and he will be angry with me for messaging her. I have been trying to pretend like I don't know and that everything is fine, but this is eating me alive. He has obviously lied to me about this before, repeatedly and to my face, so if I confront him I feel like he's going to lie to me again. I now can't trust him. I don't think he's lied to me about anything else, but if he would lie about this, what else would he lie about? This is a big lie. I do now worry that he will do the same thing to me, like his ex-wife's post said. I do also think there could be / probably is a lot more to the story. Maybe she did cheat first, I don't know. But even if she did, and even if him getting with me was retaliation for her actions, I'm not at all sure that would be enough for me to trust him again moving forward. This is just over, right? I don't know how to get past this at all. I have always told my friends to never date a cheater. See, how you get them is how you lose them. Comment. If their relationship was over and the legality was just not finalized, that's one thing. But the texts, that makes this something totally different. You definitely need to confront him. It doesn't matter how you found out, it was a matter of time. Absolutely confront him, and maybe a family member or two also. Just go from there. You don't have to figure out exactly what you are going to do right at this moment. Just talk to him. Tell him all the things you're feeling. Take some time to think. I'm really sorry this is happening to you. You have not done anything wrong at all. Be good to yourself, please. That's exactly what I did. I was 23 when I began my divorce. I put directly in my Tinder profile, currently in the middle of divorce or something similar, because I don't like feeling like I have to hide something. I had moved out the day he decided he wanted a divorce, and we didn't have children or assets, so I had next to no reason to talk to him. It was fairly amicable. About a month after it was finalized, I met my current boyfriend of 4 years through Tinder. My own divorce took a few years from filing to entering of the final order. The reasons were strategic and based on a lot of financial maneuvering that I chose to do, because my STBXH had agreed to work with me to best deal with the landslide of debt he fraudulently ran up and admitted to. When I met my current husband during this process, I told him the entire situation, and the words "I'm still legally married" came out several times. When you care about someone and truly have concluded your past relationship, you realize future relationships deserve honest facts so they can decide if they want to deal with it or not. Even if it potentially causes someone to walk away. He lied to you and the child you now share. It is clear he did and does not value you, your child, or himself enough to have let you know the facts before you discovered them on your own. That's selfish. He's shifted the burden of his past onto you. Now that you have discovered it, you have to bring it up, further doing his hard dirty work. Or live with it and not bring it up, giving you a weight to carry that you won't fully recognize for years. All of this is easy for me to see, being that I've has many decades of life to teach me these things. I know you may not see it this way. I do hope you value yourself and your child enough to take the facts and create a future you deserve, with someone you can trust, rather than a future you were manipulated into. My ex wouldn't sign the papers for nearly 2 years. We were legally separated and moved on, sheets had been split. He was a vindictive and serial cheater, hence the divorce. He finally signed BC. His then GF was pregnant and wanted to get married before the baby arrived. They did the day before the birth, no lie. I found out when I picked up the check from the sale of our house, and the person who'd been in the negotiations gossiped. LOL. Long story short, I sort of feel like something similar was going on. I was living with my now husband, 44 years, and he was incredibly disgusted by the ongoing drama. I don't blame him. When X finally signed the papers, it was at my work with security present. He started getting mouthy until I pointed out the security guys. He signed, and that was fina-fuckingly that.